It is no surprise to anyone that I love Thomas the Tank Engine, both as a character and as the franchise itself. Even in its lesser, crappier years, there's always something, no matter what era it is, that I always still like and appreciate. And I think the reason why it was so good at first was because of one man himself, Reverend Awdry. Thanks to that, we have so many fans out there. Some of them even make their own replicas of the #1 engine himself we all love. Especially in Gauge 1, or just simply as their own thing for their own scale and gauge. So I decided to make my own. I jumped on a Fusion 360, made some parts, and started printing. I had a spare chassis, running board, body, and smoke box lying around, so I opted to use those as to not waste any materials. I went and printed a whistle, and the first one didn't fit very well, so I modified it a bit, and it fit okay. Next, I decided to make some fire windows for Thomas. The end result wasn't half bad. However, I needed to chisel out the old windows first. I just used some wood chisels to chisel out the old windows. You can find these at Lowe's or Home Depot. They'll help you a ton. Next, I gave Thomas some wheels and coupling rods, and also some splashers too. While I was doing that though, I decided to play around with some vinyl tape. Vinyl tape is actually really easy to work with. If you lay a line that's too long, just bring an X-Acto knife and slice the exact amount you want off. Once the lining and pinstriping was done, I decided to give Thomas a London Midland Scotland Railway styled number. I did it off paper and traced it and colored it in, and I stuck it on with tape. Kind of a tat move, yeah, but it works really well. I don't mind, really. Looks really nice to me. After the #1, I decided to make some new wheels so that Thomas can stay on tracks. And then I replaced his splashers too. The old ones were mainly very cruddy. And I also painted the coal bunker black with a good old Sharpie. Now it was time to get this thing approved. So girl, what do you think of my Thomas? Aww, thank you, girl. And thus ends the story of Thomas Mark I. I loved this thing. I took it to school one day, much against popular opinion under the roof, and everyone at school loved it. Even the people who didn't like Thomas thought it was really cool. Not long after did my friend Sonic the Super 723 want one too. So I decided to just make him one out of the kindness of my heart and gave it to him the day after I completed it. Then I used that airbrush kit that I showed you guys recently to paint some animals that I wanted to give to some friends. Oh, and that was not even the best part. Sam's Trains got to review the official Mark III Thomas, handmade by the original Reverend Awdry himself, baby. And words could not express how I felt. I fell in love with this thing so much that I just had to draw up some plans to make this. So I did. Then I went on to Fusion 360 again and modified some E2 parts to resemble that of Reverend Awdry's Mark III Thomas. And off to the printer I went. With all my newfound experience, I could tell that this was going to be a really awesome model. So I printed out all of the parts that I needed, applied the vinyl tape, trimmed and fined it, and then added his whistle and safety valve and spray painted the running boards red, at least the sides of it though. And as little as time Thomas was done. This was so much fun to make. Younger me, 10 years ago, would never have thought of myself building this. This has to be my most beautiful homemade model yet. This was really fun and easy to make, as I said. All it took was just 4 different colors of PLA, some bearings, some stainless steel rods, and some brass hooks. But gosh darn, was it worth my time. I think we can all agree that failure helps us to make some pretty cool models. Maybe I'll make an in-depth video sometime on how I made this model. But thank you guys again so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.